what better way to start the new year than bringing all and culminating last year? What I have here is a collective group of people who have spent their time with me in 2022, and I got them all together magically to spend some time with us, and we're just going to wrap up their year in reflection. So Next Step Leadership has its first full year under its belt. I don't even know what to say because it flew by just like that. And I have learned so much from all of you. I have a round robin set of questions for a great group of leaders and Leader-Cast positions. And you guys are the official first Leader-Cast alumni as we move forward into 2023. So thank you so much. And it's so good to have you back for one more round of fun. And what I would love is just please go ahead and introduce yourselves to the world and the Next Step Leadership YouTube channel. First off, Nicole.
Hi, everyone. Nicole Mitchell. Thank you for having me.
Very excited to have you. Thank you. Next up, Brad.
Brad, hold a wonderful meeting, all of you virtually, and just, listen, I do want to take a brief moment and just say I'm so excited to be here and even more excited for you, Dr. Mark Hansenakis. What a cool opportunity.
Thank you so much, Brad. Next up, Buck.
Hey, everybody. My name is Hertha Big. Everybody call me Buck. Man, just happy that my friend just allowed me to be a part of his book, be a part of his program, and I can't wait till 2023 because I know it's about to be an awesome year.
Oh, thank you so much, Buck. I appreciate it. Sarge.
Hello, my name is Chris Sargent. I've known Big Ange since he was a lot bigger, and now he's a lot smaller, which is awesome. Good for you, Ange. But since college, so I'm happy to be here. I'm really excited and proud to see the growth that you've had since college and with this book and everything else. So.
Oh, hey, man, I'm so thankful. And likewise to you and the rest of this group of leaders. And Leslie.
Hi, my name is Leslie Hareba. I'm super excited to be here. It's an honor and a privilege. I met Angelo long time ago called middle school years where nothing is great. And we didn't see each other for a very long time, and the power of social media kind of kept us in the loop with all the really neat things that we're both doing and, we're all doing here. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Leslie. That's so true. And I think we opened your session with the concept of the power of social media. And it's crazy because here we are. We have Florida. We have North Carolina. We have upstate New York. We have Florida. It's just mind-boggling to have so many people all combined right now and available. So it's fantastic and something that I definitely don't take for granted. And in some ways, you look back on the years of COVID where everyone was asked to go to Zoom and Teams and Zoom and Teams and whatever other platforms. This has been sincerely a true blessing for this type of platform and these types of opportunities, as much as there was a lot of change. All right. First question that I have, I'm going to start us off in and just kind of go from there. And the first question is in reflection. We kind of already started with reflecting a little bit. Did doing a Next Step Leadership Leader-Cast interview benefit you in any way? And or did people start to reach out to you? Nicole, how about you?
Yeah, it definitely benefited me by giving me the opportunity and to stop and think about questions that I haven't really, would have thought about otherwise, exploring some things. And it's really cool to be on someone's podcast. So, so absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you. Brad.
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. I would definitely say that in numerous ways it did help benefit me. Similar to Nicole, I think one of the great added value pieces was really being thoughtful about certain questions from a leadership standpoint. I think number 2 is kind of being viewed. I think sometimes you have moments of doubt as far as like, hey, am I a leader? Like, you could be a leader in a position, you could have a title of leadership, but even in those times, you want to like, am I a leader? Do people hear me? Are people listening? And to be identified by a very highly esteemed leader, to say, hey, yeah, I see you as a leader, and then also to share what you have with the world, and then have other people kind of affirm that, I think was helpful for me and probably other people as well. So that's what I'll add.
Thank you. Fantastic. Buck. And Buck, you are in the situation of having been the most recent, so maybe there hasn't been as much time to reflect, but I'm sure that just doing it and now living it are a part of that. But how about you?
Man, no, actually a lot has happened since we did the podcast, man. First and foremost, you're a perfect example of if you have a dream, pursue it. You wanted to write these books, and you definitely did it. So that definitely inspired me to say, okay, if there's anything that I want to do, make sure that if I didn't do it in 2022, that 2023 is going to be my year to jump on it and get it done. But also, man, the wildest thing about it, at least about 100 people reached out to me after we did the podcast, and it's been, it's really been good to see the type of feedback that actually came from everybody looking at the podcast. But that was definitely fun, my friend.
Wow, 100 people have reached out to you personally. That's impactful just to think about the interactions that you have. Thank you. Sarge.
I think the first thing is, it's an exercise in verbalizing what it is that you've actually learned. And I think that sometimes just thinking about it isn't enough. So when you started asking these questions and setting us up, I found myself really consolidating and working through some of the ideas that have been floating around in there for a long time. That was the first thing. And then the second thing, I had moved away from my hometown area for about 10 years. And I would like to think, that I've changed a pretty significant amount. And as I've been away, learned from a lot of people that I look up to and everything else. When I came back, and then you gave me the opportunity on this podcast, I think to verbalize those things and to stand on the shoulders of the giants that we've learned from, and to verbalize what we've picked up. I was reached out to, similar to Buck, where a lot of people were like, "Oh wow, I saw that podcast. Like, I didn't know you weren't the same 18-year-old punk." You know what I mean? Like, so it was nice to and I got a lot of people coming to me through my business now, all of a sudden being like, "Wow, you learned a lot of things. Like, you've got some leadership skills." And it's like, a lot of them I didn't think of myself. It's just things that I've picked up from people that I really respect throughout the years. So that was awesome.
Well, the other thing too is, for you, time has changed. For them, a lot of them may have still just they're in their job, they're in their life, they're in their work. The time their horizon wasn't like your horizon. So when they see you again and you had this chance to tell your story, "Hi, this is who I am. I'm growing and I'm trying and I'm doing," it gave them that. That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that.
Yep.
Leslie, how about you?
Well, I think that like you said, like, there's, when you take a moment to verbalize things, it kind of takes, so I come from a family where everybody owns a business, and that's just what I saw. And there was no training. You just got thrown right in. And it was a family business. So what I ended up doing was the dynamics of a family, which then led me to be a therapist. So that's kind of funny. But so I think that what I've done through the years actually, like, put words to what it is that you're doing. But I find that what I'm doing more on a daily basis is actually, it's informed my work with clients. So there's a lot of times where I have clients that are working, either it's in positions at their job or within their own, interpersonal dynamics. And it's kind of like, I feel like from our first interview and kind of like the seeds that it planted, that I kind of stop. And of course I'll say, well, there's a great podcast you should follow. But really kind of talk about, like, the difference between leadership and management. There's huge differences between them. And why are you such a good leader, but you struggle with management? And so it's really informed my work in that way, as more like teachable moments. But in the background in my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, why is that? And I can take those to myself.
I love that. Thank you. That's a heck of a reflection, especially when like you think, oh, I own a business, I'm immediately successful. But am I managing it properly? Do I know how to lead it properly? You scaled it in your answer that I've never thought about that. I just took that away from that. Thank you. For me personally, this whole process is insane. There was a time about 2-3 months ago, Sarge reached out in a way that I had never seen, and it stopped me dead in my tracks. And he said, hey, I just want to say I really respect the fact that you are putting yourself out there. And I never thought of it like that. I was just like, there's so much stuff that people could learn, and let me celebrate strong people that are trying. And I never thought about my personal life, my learning how to do this, buying a camcorder and doing setup interviews and getting them edited. So for me personally, this has really taught me a lot about resolve, about entrepreneurship, about what it takes to build this type of rapport and trust, to have 5 to 7 people spend time with you. Shout out to Joyce and Dr. Cathcart, and give you the willingness to say, okay, I'm going to bare my soul for an hour with you as well. So for me personally, it's been an interesting dynamic of how do you do this and look like you know what you're doing and also learn on the fly, but believe in people, believe in what you're trying to do. But so again, thank you for your time in doing this. Next question. This is a homework question for all of you in a sense. So what is the biggest lesson in leadership you learned from one of the other Leader-Casts that you may have watched? Nicole, how about you?
Well, it's a perfect segue to what you just said about your reflection of your experience in this, because watching you do this, we've started years ago. We talked about writing this book. We both had our ideas, and here we are. You've finished your book and done all of this, and I'm still on the introduction page. So the biggest lesson I've really learned in this whole process is that, your mantra of, how did you write your book? 1 page at a time. And if I had started when we started collaborating and all of that, then I would have been feeling that accomplishment. So the lesson really is just to keep your nose to the grind and do it 1 page at a time, like you said.
Thank you.
That's
Absolutely.
my lesson.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Nicole. Brad, how about you?
Yeah, I've been enjoying going after Nicole because there's just a lot of good transitions. I mean, something that she said is actually quite similar to what I learned. But Dr. Cathcart, shout out to him. I know he's not on the call at the moment, but one of the things that he said that I really enjoyed was, and again, similar concept, but he had talked about his weight loss journey, and I think he had lost, I can't remember exactly how many pounds, but 50, 60, something of that nature, which is like kudos there. But one of the things that he was talking about was, taking it slow and not, you think about like not like you think about like a tree, for example, and taking it down. Like we want to sometimes just take it with one axe, and when it doesn't fall, we're like, no, done. Like kind of this, yeah. That's right. Yeah, kind of this all or nothing. And truly, that's a lot of me, this all or nothing. I don't know that Dr. Cathcart mentioned it, but I've heard recently, and it's all in line with what he said about handling things as a dial and not a switch. And so I'm such a switch kind of guy where it's all or nothing. And to be, but to realize like, whoa, but that hasn't worked in all these different areas. So through hearing Dr. Cathcart, I don't know what it was. I think I was just ready for it. Like it hit me that, and then I was able to do some self-reflection. And we talk about leadership. Like one of the greatest things we ever can do is to reflect, to have some, to have some level of self-awareness. I always say self-awareness is a superpower because it is. And so the more we were able to reflect and actually recognize, ooh, this didn't work. And why didn't this work? And in a lot of cases, and so I was able to take that concept of going from all or nothing to bite size and saying, and kind of having manageable tasks. And so I didn't just stop at eating healthier. I carry that into many different areas of life. And so I was able to have some success. I would say a lot of success because of that tidbit.
Thank you, Brad. Absolutely. Buck, how about you, my man?
I remember listening to Leslie when she was talking about her family, family business, and kind of like, how similar to how you came up around a family business, and the family business is what you knew. That's what you was pretty much trained, that they was training you to do. But you get to a place in your own life where as though you're like, I want to do something different besides what the family is pretty much training me to do. So just like you, to a degree, I go in a different direction, opposite direction of what the family wanted me to do. And it got to a point where as though I was like, man, I done seen business so much where I didn't even want to own the business. I was like, man, I seen the good side to it. I seen the downside to it. I seen the stress and the struggle that came with business, and I was like, man, do I really want to just go into the family business and and go through the same issues and stuff? But I learned that, that although family and although friends want you to do a certain thing, a certain way, ultimately I have to do what makes me happy. Just listening to her and just listen to her journey and what she did with her family. And you did, like you say, they wanted you to do the business, but you wanted to do something else. It's commendable when you could go a different direction, than what the family wants you to do, and still end up being extremely happy at what you're doing, but when I look back on it, yeah, that really blessed me a lot listening to her.
Thank you, Buck. Sarge, how about you?
I like Brad's point of the world needs dreamers too, because
yes,
it's so easy to every day, you start to think about these big ideas and the world can beat you down really easily. And I think you need somebody else to say like, no, you can dream, like, and you do need the idea guys too. And maybe they aren't the finishers. And, sometimes there's a middle guy there too. And I liked hearing Brad verbalize that because, like, I mean, when I look back at my situation and Ange, like, I mean, who would have thought that you were writing a book, right? Like, and I was a teacher for 10 years. I didn't think I was going to own a business. And now it's like, in a business, like you're always trying to come up with the next big idea. But it's like, if you listen to the world that's like, no, just do it the same way as everybody else has been doing it, then you'll come up with the same. You'll never be anything more than a diet version of exactly what they are, a muted version of that color. And that's not what I'm looking to do. I am looking to set those horizons much higher and to aim a little bit higher. And there's going to be some serious flops, and I've had my share of flops, but the thing is, it's like, if you're not failing, then you're not fighting the right fights, like if you're not losing some of those battles, then you're not fighting the right battles. And that's what I took. I liked hearing you say that. And I was a big fan of that one.
Thank you. How about you, Leslie?
Well, that kind of follows up with my thought. And I guess I didn't pick one person, so I'm kind of going rogue here. But for me, it's like,
always the rule breaker in the bunch. Always the rule breaker.
To me, it's like, I can't, I have like psychology glasses glued onto me. And it's like the theme of how the mind is a powerful thing. So like, what I find interesting is that I work with all different people all day long. And a lot of the times people come to see me because they don't believe they can, or they don't know how, or there's a lot of barriers. And it's so interesting that when the mindset shifts, and the reality shifts, and like the glasses they have on shift, how suddenly things can happen and manifest. But the only thing that literally changed was how they viewed it, how they, looked at it, how they were able to kind of look at it differently, reframe the situation. And so I think what I'm getting at is when I listen to these podcasts is that it stood out to me that this is why they're leaders. This is why they lead and are interested in management and being in front of people. It's because that's like either you guys came to it innately or you went through a very difficult journey to get there, but then suddenly you're there, and like once that like switch is turned on, like it's all systems go. And it's like a light, right? People gravitate towards it. And so that's, in my world, I talk to people like this all day long, all week long. So to see that in these interviews really stood out to me. Like, it's the mind is a powerful thing. Like, you believe it. If you really believe you can do it or do it differently, then you can. So.
Thank you. Absolutely. For me, it's all the way back to for the conversation with Brad is somebody telling him that he was in a box and realizing that, you know what, I don't have to be in this damn box. For Sargent, the way that he decided to take on the importance and the journey of the importance of sleep and what that means to him as he continues his journey, and now is starting to get full recognition where schools are asking him to come in and have conversations. For Nicole, the ability to look at things in mood and shade and color. When we had our conversation, I really took a lot of that because I started to plan my days based on color scheme because of you. Leslie, the way that you manage your business, the way that it came down to understanding what it meant to be in the dynamic that you were at, and even in our setting when we did our interview, how we just were able to go with the flow. Buck, I think what I took the most from our interview in our leadership cast was what it's like when the camera's off, because it was magical when we just started rapping about what it looks like behind that. And the other piece is, if you have talented people, pay them because they're worth it. Joyce, shout out to Joyce who's not here, the capability to understand that, you know what, you can chew on your goals bit by bit and do them simply, and how she wanted to live simply by taking on things. Hey, if it's just a walk today, I'm better for it because I got my walk in. Dr. Cathcart, how in the heck do we look at HR as an ally instead of HR is not your friend? And he did that very well. So I have so many notes. I probably have a phone book of notes from all of you, and I'm so thankful for it. Last question, big question. Nicole, you're up first. What's on the docket? What are your plans for 2023?
Well, following up to what my biggest lesson is about the one page at a time, I'm pretty sure you're going to see a book from me.
I hope so. That's awesome. Brad, how about you? What's 2023 look like?
Oh, that was short and sweet. I had a fairly long response, so I'll shorten it up slightly. But 2022 was definitely a good year. I think one of the biggest, I should say Leslie. One of the things that Leslie talked about was just finding themes. And so one key theme that I've just discovered is that, and I know one of the things I talked about during the interview was this, the fact that we wear many different hats. And I think so often we look at our identity as who we are or what our career is. And so that's been a huge learning curve for me in these past couple of years. I know I mentioned that on the interview piece. And so, title. Yeah, your title. And so, just really getting 2023 for me is really about being more holistic, where the focus is not just on how good of a recruiter or career coach or whatever my title is, but who am I as a dad? Who am I as a husband? And so I have a lot of specific goals for that. But the more I'm realizing, and I know Sarge could attest to this, and others on this call as well, that if I'm not healthy spiritually, emotionally, physically, then I can't give the best of my life. Like, the biggest thing that I have is like that I can give the best of myself to the person in front of me. That's my greatest goal. Like that is my greatest goal. So how do I give the best of myself? Well, first I have to be at a point where I am healthy physically, spiritually, emotionally, things of that nature. So that's going to be the big focus is really being consistent across the board in some key areas.
So that's fantastic. Emotional health and wealth, emotional, physical health and wealth across the board, and shedding and persevering through title. That's powerful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Buck, how about you? What's 2023 look like?
And same as 2022. Continue.
Consistent.
I'm just in a good place. Like you say, spiritually, physically, my health is a lot better. Man, just me, man. I love to laugh. I love to smile. I like to make sure everybody else is taken care of as best as I can, to do my part to just make sure other people are taken care of. But man, I'm just happy, man. I'm just happy. Life is good. I want to stay on that path and that direction in life. Man, just making sure I'm just happy. So much negative stuff is happening every day around the world.
Yeah.
People deal with so much stuff every day. Sometimes we take on other people's, problems and issues, and we allow their weight to weigh us down from dealing with their issues. But man, I'm at a place where as though I just want you to be happy. I want Brad, Leslie, Chris, Miss Nicole, everybody to just, find your happy place. You know what I'm saying? Get into that place. Smile more, you know what I'm saying? And what's that old slogan they used to say back in the day? Turn that frown upside down. Just turn that frown upside down a lot more, man. Because guess what? Life and things can be so stressful. Get the best of us if we let it get the best of us. But I'm at a place now where I'm not going to let it get the best of me. And I pray that everybody on here, don't let it get the best of you too. But just continuously being happy. That's where I'm at with it. See how you smiling right there, brother? Hey, we laugh and joke almost wanted in that gym. And that's where I want us to keep it. Laughing and joking, smiling, and continuously loving life. That's all.
I love it, Buck. Thank you so much. And it is one of the openings for Buck when I did his Leader-Cast was at some of the times where life has really kicked me in the teeth. I've walked into the gym or I've seen Buck randomly, and he doesn't even know that I'm about to transfer all this energy, and he has always been a blessing. So again, as always, thank you, Buck. That was powerful, and I'm sure everybody here appreciates the positive vibes going into 2023. Thank you.
No problem.
Chris, what's on the horizon for 2023?
This is my second year at Potsdam State as the head strength and conditioning coach. I'm really trying to be part of this culture. I don't want to say that I'm changing it, that I want to change.
Oh my God, you're an academic.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. Who knew I liked books until after I graduated college, right? But yeah, I want to be part of a culture shift at Potsdam. I think that we've got a bunch of coaches here, and I really want to give. I want to create a culture here at Potsdam where we become the mecca of everything north of Syracuse has got to be run through Potsdam athletically. I believe that can happen because of our facilities here and the coaches that we have. So that's the first part. Sleep presentations, as you know, I've started to really get into the high schools and middle schools and present on sleep and even some wellness centers. I presented at the middle school, New York State Middle School Principals Association twice this past year, and that's been awesome because it's validation. You know what I mean? Like there's so many times where I'm talking to myself in the mirror, this is really good. Why is nobody listening? You know what I mean? Why is nobody listening to me? And then, you finally get.
Come over here, listen to me.
You finally get your foot in the door a couple times, and all of a sudden you get that feedback, and you're like, yes. And then the third prong for me is I've owned 3S training for the last 5-6 years or so right now, and I don't want to be Phil Jackson. Now, why would you not want to be Phil Jackson? Because I watched the Legacy documentary on Hulu just the other night, and my wife, who doesn't know anything about sports, she says to me, but he's got all these championships, but he had Kobe and Shaq, and then he had Jordan and Pippen. Yeah, that's a legitimate argument, right? I've had all of these athletes that have been fantastic athletes, and they've all put 3S on the map, and now I'm getting a lot more business. And now I've got a standard to uphold, and I want every one of those athletes that comes through 3S training to have the same success or enjoy the process and the success that comes or does not come with it. You know what I mean? Like I want a standard of when those athletes leave 3S training. I want somebody to ask them, like, was it worth it? And I want them to have to think about that, because what we do here is not easy. But at the end of the day, when you look back at it and you're like, yes, but it takes you a second to think about it, because we do a lot of work and it's tough and it's blue collar work. It's not easy. The plates aren't shiny. The equipment's not shiny. I don't want it shiny. I want rusty, dirty. Like I want to be in the dirt with my athletes. I mean, and that's the standard that I got to uphold. And I put that pressure on myself, and and I think I should, because these parents, they look at me as though they're giving me their child for a good 9 months out of the year. So how could I not try to uphold that? And that's kind of where I'm going for the next year. I get passionate about it, but
yeah, you're fired up. I love it. I love it. I'm watching all the other leader casters, and they're like, oh, like everyone's getting closer. So they're great. So you sucked us in, and I hope everybody's watching. Check out 3S training, because he might scare you, but he's on it. Thank you. Fantastic. For me personally, Nicole's not wrong. This started as a dream in 2011. I actually left it up on the Facebook page. It was just a quick question on leadership. Here we are in 2022, and it is it's out of control. 2022, we had 7 Leader-Cast interviews. We had 2 books completely published and out in the world, right? We have a Kindle version of Volume 1. We have mugs. We've got water bottles. We got book packs. We got hats. We got shirts. I can't believe this is my reality, is that this is something I get to do in my spare time. I'm thankful. I'm very, very blessed to have the opportunity. In 2023, Volume 2 has to go on Kindle. I want to get 8 to 10 other leaders to have Leader-Cast interviews and do the same culmination. I have a hard deadline for myself that is eating me alive for Volume 3. It's in the works. And lastly, I want to get some people under contract, and it's free, because I just want people to be successful and tell their stories for Lessons in Leadership books. As you can see, it's behind me here. We also have a book publishing company at this time, and there's 1 or 2 stipulations that I have, but if people are very excited and interested and they want a story that they want to tell to the world, I'm excited and passionate about bringing it to the world for them. So 2023 is going to be just as busy. I have all of you by my side, and the other part of 2023 is supporting all of you with whatever I can do, because I have called on you. I've nailed you down with text messages along the way, or Marco Polos along the way of thoughts and feedback and questions or articles I'm writing. And my goal is to continue to be as much of a support system for you and anybody who reaches out as I can. Last round robin question. Any last thoughts for anybody who's watching out there? Nicole.
Uh-oh.
I
think you're on mute. There you go.
Guess it would be helpful if I took the mute off. Everyone has been very inspiring. The biggest thing I've gained from it, as I said before, really is just the 1 page at a time, and never being afraid to take those challenges as I think it was Chris who said it earlier, you know, if you're not failing, you're not doing something right. You're not challenging yourself, you're not stepping out there. You know, so my word of advice is just when you think you're doing it wrong, you're probably doing it right. So keep going and seek the support of your friends and stuff.
Thank you, Nicole. And the other part of that is if you're not doing it right, I'm sure the lesson that you're learning from it will help you later on, or be able to help someone else that's going to be going through it. So thank you. Brad, anything you'd like to leave us with?
Yeah, actually, this goes parallel with what the Sarge said, just about, you know, the comment of, you know, the world needs dreamers. I think something that hit me when you were talking, and I want to make sure to insert it, and so perfect opportunity to do that. The 6 Types of Working Genius by Patrick Lencioni. I'm not sure if you've heard of that, but definitely worth exploring. The 6 Types of Working Genius. Essentially, it's different than like an Enneagram. Yeah, there you go. An Enneagram assessment or things of that nature, because it actually shows you like where you function in terms of, you know, projects and things of that nature. So one of the things for me is it confirmed that, hey, I'm a dreamer. Like I said, and dreamer is a good thing, and the world needs dreamers. But if you're only a dreamer, you don't get stuff done. Like figuring out, like, it's a really good assessment, and it really helps you. And I'm bringing it up because a couple reasons. Number one, I think it's just it's validating kind of what Sarge was talking about with the world needs dreamers, and it helped validate me that, hey, it's not a bad thing to be a dreamer, like to understand and be aware of where I'm at, but then it also helped me see where are my shortcomings and who are the people who can really, you know, push a project forward that I need to essentially complete a project. And so I say that all to really just say, and I mentioned it earlier, but ultimately, yes, taking that assessment, taking Enneagram, like understanding who are you at the core, because I think as you understand who you are at the core, you no longer allow the opinions of others to be yours, if that makes sense. One way that I like to say it is, if you didn't create me, you really can't define me. And so I think that would be the thing that I would like to leave anybody watching this, is if somebody didn't create you, they can't define you. So understand who you are at the core, and then once you really truly understand what your unique gift and your offering is, then lean into that and do everything around that.
Thank you. Wow. Awesome. Buck.
Well, going into next year, and what I want people to take away from this, from everybody here, you know, like the book I was telling you about, The Mountain Is You. Don't be your own mountain. Get out your own way. You know, don't sabotage yourself. Don't hold yourself back. Don't down yourself. Don't doubt yourself. Like you say, sometimes we're going to fail. Sometimes we're going to fall flat on our face. But guess what, though? We get up. We continue to move forward. We continue to try again. What they used to say, if you never failed, that means you never tried. So guess what? Yes. Failure come, you know, sometimes you're just going to take that hard fall. But guess what, though? At the end of the day, get up, go again, continue moving forward. Do not be your own hurdle. Don't sabotage yourself, man. Just don't give up and don't quit. And everybody just keep moving forward. That's all I got to say.
That's powerful. Thank you, Bud. Sarge, what you got?
I'm very grateful, Ange, that you invited me to be part of this whole project. One, you know, and the other thing that I would say is, like, you know, we just had a little conversation with the basketball team and everything the other day and everything, you know, little infighting, stuff like that. And I'm not trying to give away secrets here, but you know,
secrets.
I know, right? Somewhere Brockport's looking. But you know, I said to them finally at the end of the day, like, you know, I was in a couple of dead end jobs that I did not want to be part of, and that were kind of like stopgaps at the time. And I saw people being put into management positions where they were supposed to be leaders. And you've got like a 27-year-old telling a 45-year-old this is going to be his last job that he's ever in. It's going to be the same horrible salary that he's going to earn for the rest of his life. And he does not want to listen to that 27-year-old. And I've seen those 27-year-old managers just completely fall apart in that position and get no respect. Finally, I said to the basketball team, it's like, this is nothing more than a dress rehearsal. I've had a lot of leaders in life that have been horrible leaders, and I've seen a lot of leaders in life that have been great leaders. But the thing is, like, to put a 27-year-old in a managerial position when they've never been a leader before, you're setting them up for failure. So therefore, how do you get your students prepared to become leaders out in the real world? And I think that you have to explain to them, and I think that people have to understand at a younger age that this is all a dress rehearsal to being a leader later on down the line. And if you can't get people to work now for a common goal and a group project that means absolutely nothing in your math class, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, then how are you going to get somebody to work for you later on down the line when they're just there in that 8 to 5 job, just punching in the timer and punching out, and that's all that they want to do? But like, to be able to motivate and get people to move in one direction, it's the same reason why I love sports. It's the same reason why I like working a lot with athletes, is because I like to work with people that want to work, and motivating people to work is one of the things that I've learned from people around me who I've found as leaders. And so I think that's the biggest thing, is that just understand that all of life is nothing more than a dress rehearsal leading up to the real world. And the real world can be pretty darn mean. So you best take your best shot while it's still just a dress rehearsal and you can't fall as far. Because when the real world happens, like, you can fall pretty darn far, and now it's for keeps, So
yeah,
it's
unforgiving.
Yes,
it's fairly unforgiving.
Yep.
Awesome. Good point. And I love how you transcended management and leadership in that, just by that conversation with the basketball team. So good luck, Potsdam basketball. But thank you. You've taught us all tonight. Leslie, how about you?
I think I'd like to leave this with a bunch of questions, like questions for people to think about. And it kind of like takes together everything, different pieces and parts that we've talked about. But, what stops you from starting? And then some questions from a book that I've been reading. I don't know if you've ever heard of Dr. Gabor Mate. This man's a genius in the world of psychology and just life. And his recent book is called The Myth of Normal. And he has 6 questions he asks everybody. And if you think I know all 6 right now, I don't. But I have 2 because they stand out to me, especially when you stop and think about them, which is, what are you saying yes to? And what are you saying no to? And it's like the simplest questions, but if you let yourself unfold in those questions, you realize there's a lot of things you say no to. And what keeps you from saying yes to them, and vice versa. Because in there, comes a lot of like, why are we motivated to do what we do? And why are we, what gets in our way of doing the things that we'd like to do? But I also think that you can take that and really look at not only yourself as a leader, but the people you're leading, right? So like for me, in like the coming year, I have more. This is the first time I actually have 2 people. I have a practice. I've been in management. I've been in management for quite a long time, again, due to the family stuff. But this is the first time that I've had to teach other people how to manage and lead. And that's been like a whole other layer of teaching how to manage and lead while managing and leading at the same time, right? And it's been this kind of teaching, learning. Luckily, I work with a bunch of therapists, so we do a lot of really deep talking and figuring out what works and doesn't work. But it's really made me think, like, where would I go to learn this stuff? How do I get there? This isn't kind of like a traditional, you just go and, I think there's a lot of like hands-on learning here. And so, yeah, I think a lot of questions, leaving you guys and the world, if you will, with a lot of questions.
Powerful questions. I love everything about that. That was great. For me, I'm going to keep it simple. Think it, do it, be it. What I mean by that is, what is it that is your next dream? What is it? What is the next goal? What is it? A baby step? Is it personal? Think about it. What does it look like to do it? Is there somebody that you emulate? I liked Sargent's description of, well, you're just going to be a diet cola version of the business that you really want to be. What is that business doing? Is it a book? Is it a certificate? Is it something that somebody else has that you want to be? Is it some type of, is it a position? Do you want to be a manager? Well, what is the job requirements of that management? So think about it. What does it look like to do it? And then start emulating those things, because if you think it, you do it, and you start to work on what it looks like to be it, you can be and do whatever you want. And I know that's not as pie in the sky when you start to break it down, but that's probably what I would leave everyone with, because this group of leaders is living proof that you can think it, do it, and be it, and move toward it. And I'm sincerely appreciative of your time tonight. Happy ending to 2022, and blessings and magic into 2023. And if anybody wants to communicate with any of these individuals from Leader-Cast, please let me know. I can get you their information, and I'd be happy to chat with you. Thank you guys so much for your time tonight. And as usual, I'm very thankful for the ability to spend time with you and be a part of your journeys. And thank you for being a part of mine. As always, I love celebrating you. And thank you.